When I think about the life I live now, I realize that this life was once a hope and a prayer. Hi, I'm glad that you're here. With this video, I want to remind you that the storm will not last always. You see, whatever you're going through right now, whatever challenge it is that you're facing, sometimes it can feel so overwhelming when we're going through a difficult situation. And sometimes we cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so I want to encourage you and bring you some hope and hopefully some strength to remind you that you are going to be okay, and to encourage you to keep going and to not give up. And if you hold on and keep pushing through, you will get to the other side, no matter how overwhelming your situation or your storm is. I'll share 2 stories of mine with the hope that it would help you see the other side, and it will help you keep pushing through, because you will make it. Well, I remember we went on holiday to Miami, and while we were there, I decided that I wanted to go snorkeling. And so I got a Groupon deal. Yeah, as you do. And the idea was that we're going to go snorkeling in Fort Lauderdale. I think that's how they say it. It's a little bit of Miami. But there was this really beautiful site that you could snorkel there. So I read up all the description, and it said that we were going to get a kayak that will take us from the edge of the beach into the middle of, it wasn't an ocean, but just the middle of the beach, far away from land, where we could then have a beautiful snorkeling experience. And I was excited. I was like, oh, I've never been on a kayak. And it will be good to go on a kayak and then to just be able to snorkel. That's how you say it, right? Snorkel. So I went with my daughter. And my husband was not going to be a part of it. He was going to drive us. He was just going to hold the clothes while we went and did our thing, because for him, deep waters was not his thing. Now, mind you, I am not a good swimmer. I think I am in that intersection between beginner and intermediate. So there's no word for it, but I'm not an intermediate swimmer, because when I go to the pool, I can swim on the deep side, but I have to quickly hold the rail or hold the wall of the pool, because somehow I cannot sustain myself. But I think I can float for a few seconds. But at the same time, I'm not a beginner, because I know some of the strokes, like I know how to do a butterfly, I know how to do a breaststroke, but I just cannot do it on the deep end. But here we were in deep waters. So my daughter and I, who was 10 at the time, she's a good swimmer, and so I decided, yeah, we're going to do this. Now, on getting to the site, I looked around me and we were ready to go, and I said to the instructor, where's the kayak? And he said, oh, a kayak? No, you're not allowed any of those on here. It's banned. We're going to swim to the middle, the center point. At that point, my heart skipped. I thought, what? We're going to swim? And so he said, are you good swimmers? And I'm thinking, well, right now it's too late to be asking that question. I have already paid. We were done. We were now ready. We had driven, I think it was about an hour. We had driven to this place. So right now that question is so irrelevant. And I was hoping on a kayak. So here we were, and he said, yeah, that's okay. I'll give you a floater and I'll be ahead of you. You'll be fine. And I thought, you'll be fine. Okay, deep waters. My feet will not touch any ground. This is no swimming pool. I cannot hold on to the edge of the pool. And my daughter was excited, and we got on. Now, we were not the only people in the party. There were a few other people, and these people were good swimmers. These are the guys, were good swimmers. And so the instructor got us all ready, and we started to swim. And my husband waved us goodbye, and he was looking. And we started to swim, and gradually my feet could not feel the ground anymore. And panic set in. But I kept saying to myself, calm down, Christiana. You're going to be okay. And I said, you know what? You got a floater. And the instructor is ahead of you. and my daughter was just blissfully swimming, and gradually I was trying to hold it together. But my goodness, panic set in. Panic hijacked my voice, hijacked my breath, and before I knew it, I was tasting some salt, and I was like, what the heck? What is that? And I realized that I had gulped a lot of water. At this time, my panic situation went into overdrive. And my gear, you wear goggles and you have that breather stuff, everything moved off my face and I was beginning to sink, it felt like, but I had the floater. And in that moment, I really felt like screaming. I felt like shouting and saying to the instructor, no, this is it. We're going back. I'm going back. You have to take me back. And as I contemplated screaming, meanwhile, my daughter was still swimming peacefully and enjoying it. And she was just saying, you're going to be okay, mommy. You're going to be okay. Girl, let me tell you, I was not okay. But then in the middle of all of that, my strength, my agility kicked in. And I started to say to myself, Christiana, you're going to be okay. Hold it together. You're going to be okay. You've got a floater. You've got the instructor ahead of you. You've always wanted to do this. Come on, girl. Hold it together. And it was a battle between my strength and my ability to hold on and my fear and the panic that I was going to sink. And who cares about the fish? Right now, I want to survive. But this whole battle continued and I just kept pushing on and I kept moving through. And I could see the instructor way ahead of me. I could see the other guys way ahead of me. And I'm thinking, oh goodness, what am I going to do? But eventually, I swam and we got to the particular point in the beach where we could actually begin to look underwater and see the fish and see the wrecked car and just see, beautiful items under sea. And wow, it was so beautiful because I've been wanting to snorkel for so long. I've been wanting to go snorkeling for so long that this experience was so beautiful. And by the time we were done and we started to swim back, I had found my rhythm. And I was now beginning to glide. And I was like, oh, wow, look at that. Look at you. Check you out. And we got back to shore. That was a really scary experience for me. That was crazy. And I share this story to let you know that when you are in the heat of a situation, when you are right in the middle of a storm, and I use a storm as a way to say when you're going through chaos and you're going through craziness, it can feel very overwhelming. And in that moment, all you can think about and sometimes all you can focus on is just what you're going through. And you may feel like quitting. You may feel like giving up. You may feel like throwing in the towel. You may feel like raising your hand and saying, that's enough. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore, But I want to encourage you to hold on when you're going through a tough time. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Just keep going. And just keep holding on and keep pushing through. I want to encourage you to do that. Because when you can push through on the other side of your pain, on the other side of your chaos, is breakthrough, is victory, is success, is beauty, is abundance, is strength. But you will not find that out unless you hold on. Now, I say that with context because it's important to note that when you're going through those situations, it's important to have protective factors. Now, I'm not asking you to just blindly hold on, but I'm asking you to include some protective factors that will keep you steady and will help you go through tough times. Now, the protective factor, first of all, number one is ask for help. Whenever you're going through a tough time, look around you. Who can you talk to? Who can you ask for support? Whether it's one individual, a friend, a community, a family member, somebody who's not going to judge you, somebody who's going to stand with you and hold your hand and be there. It may be professional or it may be personal, but ask for help. Don't do this on your own. When you do that on your own, you risk breaking down and you risk giving up. Another protective factor when you're going through a tough time is to pause, breathe, and keep yourself grounded. It is very easy to be very focused on what you're doing and just to be tunnel vision on that problem, on that chaos, that you don't stop to take yourself away and get a bigger picture and self-care. And what could that look like? That may be taking walks, that may be going swimming, that may be meditating, that may be exercising, that may be getting yourself involved in some craft and hobbies and art, but something that you can indulge yourself in, something that you can be involved with that would help you to pause from all the craziness that is happening around you. And so those are some protective factors that you have to put in place to help you go through. In my case, it was pretty much the fact that I knew, okay, I've got a floater and I've got the instructor in front of me. Somehow I'm not gonna die, right? Even though the salt water was getting into my mouth and my gear was shifting and I was beginning to sink, but there was those protective factors that helped me go through it. And so find what that is for you. The second story I want to share with you about going through craziness was when I first came into this country. See, I migrated or immigrated, whichever one you want to say, from Nigeria. And I came here to join my husband. And when I came here, at first when I came here, I had an idea about how I always wanted to start married life, even from Nigeria. And I remember having a conversation with my husband and he said to me, okay, so I live in a studio flat. And I was like, huh? What is that? What is a studio flat? Because, I already had an idea of how I was going to start life, and a studio flat was definitely not it. And then he explained to me, well, a studio flat is where you just have this one room and then you have the toilet and the bathroom together and you have a kitchen. That's a studio flat. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not even you don't even have a 1-bedroom flat? He said, no, it's a studio flat. It's the bed and the couch and everything is just in that one room. And I was like, what? Okay, but I said yes, nonetheless, because I had a vision and we had a goal for a better life. And so the idea was that, okay, you know what, I'm going to come over, we're going to work hard, and then we'll move out. By the time we'll have a baby, we'll move into a bigger place, maybe buy our own place, etc. But things didn't quite work out as we planned. And so I found out that not only was I starting life in a studio flat, we then had a baby in a studio flat. See, you got to understand that was way off how I wanted to start life. This was crazy making right there. Like, how can I be starting life like this? It was so far away from what I wanted, what I dreamt, what I hoped for. But there was a bigger picture. We wanted a better future for ourselves. We wanted to buy a property. We wanted to get good jobs. And we found out that the way to make that happen was to start small. And so we hustled our way. We worked hard. We saved. I remember that things were really difficult in those first years. I remember that we were working so hard and saving every penny. At one point, my husband was made redundant and my income was very minimal. But we kept saving, we kept working hard, but at one time, we couldn't hold it all together. I remember one time we had to make the difficult call. My husband called up the mortgage people, the bank, and he said, you know what? We can't afford to keep this property anymore. Come take your property. And they were like, it doesn't work like that. You have to default. I mean, they didn't say it in that tone, but that was what they were saying. They said, we can't just come take the keys. You have to default. And at that time, we were working really hard to maintain our credit score so that we would have good credit. We were very conscious about not being in debt. So we were paying up everything we needed to pay up. We were making sure we maintained a good credit score. And so they said, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to default. And we said, no, we don't want to default. We just want you to come take your keys. We're done. We cannot afford to keep the property. we went out. And they said, nah, you got to default. And we said, no, we cannot default. So we kept scraping by every penny to just make sure our mortgage was paid. And we were doing everything we could. And times were really, really tough. I remember I couldn't afford to go back home for so many years because, you know what, we were working really hard. But I say that to say that when I look back at my life, when I look at my life now, and look at where we were and where I've come from, the life that I live today was once a hope and a prayer. It was once a dream, and I couldn't see at that point how I was going to get here. Nobody was going to give us a break. Nobody was going to give us opportunities. We had to really work hard and hustle. But when I look back, I wouldn't do anything differently. I wouldn't take away the hard work. I wouldn't take away the savings. I wouldn't take away the holding on even when things were really rough and tough. I wouldn't take any of that away because it has brought us to where we were, where I can look at where I am today and be so grateful and so thankful. And I say that to encourage you not to give up. Whatever tough situation you're going through right now, don't give up. Keep holding on, because better, great, success, victory, breakthrough, whatever positive you want to think about, the light is always at the end of the struggle. And so like I mentioned earlier, find protective factors to help you go through a tough time so that you can hold on, because beauty is only available through the process, not when you cut corners or not when you give up. And when you look back at, when you go through that craziness and you make it through to the other side, because you always will, it's a question of holding on and pushing through. But when you look back, you'll be glad you held on. And so I hope my stories has inspired you. I hope it's encouraged you not to give up and to just hold on. I mean, what is your story? I want to hear you in the comments. What is your story? What are you going through right now? What are you taking away from this video? And if you're going through a difficult situation and you also want one-to-one support to help you navigate the tough time, or to help you find clarity for your next step, especially as we are gradually beginning to come to the end of the year, then click the information in the description box to find out how my one-to-one coaching sessions can help you begin to make sense of your chaos, or begin to get clarity to move you from where you are to where you want to get to. All the information is in the description box. Now, if you like this video, I want you to give it a thumbs up, and I want to hear you in the comments. Subscribe if you are not already part of the community, because I share videos every week, every Sunday really, on how to help you go from feeling inadequate to confident. If this video has helped you, then please share it with other women who will benefit, or anybody who you know needs to hear this, who you know needs not to give up. Well, until I see you next week, well, check out these videos and go out there and just keep holding on. I'll see you soon.